Hey, good morning. It's mid-morning. It's Thursday, May 18th, and I wanted to show you what I did yesterday. So the girls, the kind of I call them the little girls, but they're, probably a year old down to Noel, in age. And I've got them out here in the hay field right here on the edge, and they've been in a paddock here next to the barn. But I've got it set up to where they're able to rotate through. It's hot, kind of hot and sunny. I think it's supposed to be up in the mid upper 70s today. And I've got lots of stuff to do. In addition to, we've got to do some school. We're kind of down at the end of our schoolwork. Kids are wrapping up math books and grammar books and things like that. Um, so we're actually going to do kind of a short day today with school. Um, and because it's warmed up now, we're actually it's hard on the people doing the weeding, but we need to weed some of the garden beds. We've got some little weeds grown up, um, perfect size for pulling because they're stout enough to actually pull the whole root out rather than just snapping the head of the plant off. So we're going to do that here after a little bit, when I get back up to the house, get the kids out of the house and do some weeding. And lots of plants are up and sprouted, and you'll be able to see how much the garden has grown. And anyway, so I'm going to show you what I did with the girls' paddock here. And then I also moved the big cows, opened up their paddock so that they can have fresh grass. I did leave it where they can get into the trees. Um, the next section, I'll have to do the same thing. This one paddock where all those cows are, there's really only one section of shade. So unfortunately, that one I have to just move the fence over. Um, if it's below 70 degrees, it's not too bad, but you get up to 70, 80, it's pretty hot in the late afternoon. The hottest part of the day is between 12 and 4, here, just because of our location. So anyway, I want to show you this paddock, and then I'll go run down, take care of some stuff down at the chicken barn, and then I'll be back at the garden and I'll see you there. So you can see that this field, I'm going to stick my finger here. See that line that runs across there? It's having trouble focusing. There we go. The line that runs across there that cuts off, it's not quite half of what's left of this little part of the hayfield. Actually, I ran out of line. I was trying to make it shorter, more even, but I ran out of the electric line without changing the dimension down here at the barn. So I put it full extension, and then they'll graze this off, and then I'll open up that corner up there toward where that power pole is. I could just let them out here for the whole section, but because the grass is more mature now, it's better to let them concentrate their grazing in a smaller section. I'm gonna walk over here and show you. I've got them blocked out of most of this paddock here. This fence is on, so I'm not going to cross it. Got them blocked out of most of this paddock. They have to have access to this automatic waterer, that yellow waterer there. So I fence it off. You can see there's a little wire by that post over there. That keeps them from going into the rest of the paddock. Let it rest. I will start probably clipping all of these paddocks with the bush hog. Keep those grass plants and the forbs in the vegetative state. It kind of mimics actual grazing off. With as few head as we have, they're just not able to graze it off fast enough. The grass gets ahead of us. So we'll do that here coming up in the next few weeks probably. Want to get it done by the middle of June, hopefully, so the grass can start growing again before we start getting really a lot hotter days. I'm headed out to the garden, but I wanted to show you before I go out there the baby seedlings here on the porch. So when it rains, I bring them in the house. Two of them have wheels on their little cart. 2 of them don't, so I have to have the kids help me. They're growing really good, and pretty much they're completely hardened off. Obviously, in the trays, if we get heavy rain, they'd be standing in water, which isn't good for the plants. But they're growing well, and they're hardened off, and so I just need to get some weeding done in the garden and get them out planted in the beds. So you can see here, these are my tomatillos. I actually topped them because they were starting to set little blossoms. They will grow. They will send out like suckers just like the tomatoes will off the sides of the stem. And so anyway, I topped them just like I did the tomatoes. And everything's growing real good. Let me show you. Okay, so here's the tomatillos, and there's some peppers. These little baby plants, I didn't think they were going to come up. They are actually pili plants from seed that we got when we were missionaries in Congo. And they are technically like a bird's eye pepper. They're real hot, and they grow on somewhat knee height plants. Over there, they are, perennial because it's warm all the time. But here, I need to bring some into the house. So these are peppers, some hot, some are like sweet peppers. Now you can see the little tomatoes that I topped, that they're filling out. Let me see if I can, yeah. So you can see here where I took the first shoot, the actual leader, I took it, chopped it off, and now it has sent out 2 little suckers that will actually be a double leader. And let's see, some of these, like this one here, only has sent out 1 leader. So sometimes that happens, and it's just the way it is. You can see most of them have 2 little sprouts coming off of the side. See right here, a little tiny one, and then bigger one to its left. Let's see. Yeah, those ones I just did. You can see right here, see the little tiny sprout? Those are those extra little leaders that are going to pop up. And then we have these little tomatoes. These are more mature. I got these from a friend. Did the same thing. I need to take those lower leaves off. And just a variety of herbs. This is rhubarb. That needs to be separated and planted out. This is what is this called? Oh, purslane. This is purslane, and that is actually edible. These are calendula, lots of different herbs. These are petunias. These were supposed to be the petunias for my hanging baskets, and they are so slow growing that they're just going to get added in when they're big enough. And these are the plants that I bought to replace those. This is some hibiscus. It's edible hibiscus I picked up at Baker Creek this last weekend at the Spring Planting Festival. Some more herbs and basil and things like that. These down here are butterfly peas. And then these are black locust seedlings. We're out here at the garden now, and you can see how all the little plants are growing up. These are the little weeds that I was talking about that need to be pulled up. I don't know exactly what they are, but they have a decently long taproot. So we're going to start on the back rows where we have the corn, and this back row has watermelons and like cantaloupe, things like that. And then this one, it does not have anything planted in the middle. We'll plant the sweet potatoes in here, and we will try to get ahead of these weeds while they're still small. With all the rain that we got this week, I didn't actually have to water the garden more than, I think, 3 times right after I planted the seeds. So that's a first, actually, in my whole life. Usually we don't get the rain that we got this last week. I'm going to put you guys on a time lapse while we get these weeds knocked out. Well, it doesn't look like much, but this row's mostly done. I've got to go get my stirrup hoe and a couple of other cultivating tools and finish. Unfortunately, when you cultivate mechanically, you do stir up extra weed seeds, but we have to stay ahead of the weed plants so that all of these baby plants that we want can grow. And the kids are being good helpers and taking part in this project. It's definitely not easy, wouldn't you say, Lillian? Yeah. So here I've got it all cultivated, and yes, stirring up the soil does bring more weed seeds to the surface, but the reality is, once a weed seed sprouts, if you can keep it from going to seed, then you have succeeded in stopping the life cycle of that seed. Now I have to water these bottom two rows. This row right there, that's the cucumber row, and then there's lettuce and greens and things like that. And then the last row, the bottom row, has carrots and green onions in it. And then there will also be tomatoes in that row. Once I get the panel in, I can get them planted. This row right here, this last one that's cultivated, that's also going to be tomatoes and peppers.